Reading. Yep. Once again, it's from the Science of Mind magazine, the Daily Guides. If you're not familiar with either New Thought in general or Science of Mind in particular, then today's reading might seem a little bit involved or a little bit, not about confusing, but definitely a little bit obscure. It's really more intended for people who've got a little background. And Reverend Jesse explains it, and then I'm going to actually explain his explanation. So how about that? The pathway of experience. First quote is from a very well-known teacher of the science of mind in the 20th century. His name was Raymond Charles Barker. He taught mostly out of New York. He had great crowds coming to his services there, and he was very, very well known. I think in like from the middle of the 20th century towards the latter part of it. He says, "Emerge from the consciousness that gropes in the dark for bits and pieces, and behold the light within you." Emerge from the consciousness that gropes in the dark for bits and pieces, and behold the light within you. And this is from Ernest Holmes in this. It's from the Science of Mind textbook. It's actually from the 1926 edition, which is Ernest Holmes wrote two versions of the Science of Mind textbook, the big thick tome Science of Mind, and the 1920s version, and then he updated it in the 1930s, and he left out some material and added some other. And this is actually from the 1926 edition. So if you try to find these, it's on pages 333 to 334 of the 1926 edition. He says, "We now have discovered a unity with the whole on the three sides of life, or from all three modes of expression. We're one with the body of the physical world, material. One with the creative law of the universe, that's the universal subjective. And one with the Spirit of God in the conscious world, and that's the universal objective. We could not ask for more, and no greater freedom could be given. From now on, we shall expand, grow, and express only to the degree that we consciously cooperate with the whole, all three sides." All the great mystics taught practically the same thing. They all agreed that the soul is on the pathway of experience, that is, of self-discovery, that it is on its way back to its Father's house, and that every soul will ultimately reach its heavenly home. They told us that our destiny is divine and sure, and that creation is complete and perfect now. I'll come back to that. The great mystics all agree that our lives are ours to do with as we choose, but that when we turn to the One, we will always receive inspiration from on high. Since we see that personality is what one does with individuality, we should turn within and find God. This is what Reverend Jesse says, and then I've got a couple of comments. Reverend Jesse says, "A theme of remembering and returning runs through the New Thought worldview. We're each eternal and infinite, and while on earth, we seem prone to that awareness becoming obscured by events, circumstances, and the passage of time. Reading the mystics can help, but to still is to turn directly toward the sources of their inspiration. In reality, mysticism is a frequency or wavelength accessible to all." So a couple of things here. When Ernest Holmes talks about creation's complete and perfect now, he doesn't mean to say that it's finished. He means to say that things are as they are, and they can't be any different right now. But that doesn't stop them evolving and changing for better things in the future. So he's simply saying, hey, everything is as it is, and it could not be otherwise right now. So in that sense, it's perfect because it can't be anything other than what it is. And then when Reverend Jesse talks about, yeah, you can read the mystics, and trust me, that's how I started on my path. You can read the mystics, but at the end of the day, you can only do it for yourself. And what is it? It is finding a pathway into a connection with the divine. And that's something that you have to do. Nobody can do it for you. You have to do it yourself personally. You can do it in lots of different ways. But the main way that most mystics do it is through contemplation and meditation. But you also need to support that with reading and with being in communities that actually support that. But at the end of the day, it's you and the divine. It's you and the all. And the only way that if you think about it, the only way that it can be you and the all is when there's no distraction around. And I mean, nobody is around to distract you, and you're not messing with something else. You're simply concentrating. Will you get distracted when you meditate? Unless you are unique, the answer is yes, you will get distracted. But will you ultimately find a way into a better and a greater connection with the all? Yeah, absolutely. So that is my offering for today. And the next piece, the affirmation is quite practical, actually. It says, I expect the unexpected to happen and believe in a greater good than I have yet experienced. And that greater good can be physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. I expect the unexpected to happen and believe in a greater good than I have yet experienced. So there you are. If you got questions on this, then you're welcome to ask. If you tune into our classes or our Sunday services, you will hear more of the same. You'll hear explanations of all of this, and you'll be in a community of people who actually help you along your spiritual path. And it's not unique to Science of Mind or Centers for Spiritual Living as it is now, but it's also in Unity, Divine Science, and lots of other groups that actually look at the mystical path as a way for human beings to move forward. So my colleague Reverend Lisa will be on tomorrow morning at about 9:15. Our service will be at 11 o'clock. These are all Central Time. And when I say they'll be on, it will be on Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page. What this is being broadcast right now is my YouTube, Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page, my own personal page, one of our business pages, Prosperity Living, and also I will be putting it on Instagram. I'll be putting it on, let me see what, Tumblr, Threads, Mastodon, Blue Sky, LinkedIn. So it's going to be on all of those by the end of the day. So, and I try and do that every time. Sometimes I miss, but that's my attempt. So my prayer for everyone today is that you're able to accept yourself. I'm knowing that each and every person who watches this is able to accept themselves in the moment for who they are and what they are, knowing that they are an evolving expression of the divine. And I release my word with gratitude into a divine law that always, always says yes. And so it is.